All right, YouTubers, what's happening? We got another video looking at the new bailout. I didn't like the first bailout. You guys probably saw my video. I got it in the pass around group, but also at the time it was during the controversy of the low HRC on the 3V model. So they've since corrected that, they say, to have it be around 60 to 62 HRC. Now with the new bug out, the bailout, the 537GY-1, which is black class, it does have aluminum scales now, like a nice woodland green is what they call it. And it has your typical deep carry clip, but the blade here is M4 still. Uses this different coating than I believe is, I think it's actually the same coating that was on the other bailout. I don't have one anymore to tell you, but that's one thing I don't like about it, actually. I wish they would have just gone black, like this on the bug out, because that would look way better with the black and green scheme in this gray. But maybe this is a more durable coating, and maybe that's why they did it. I don't know. But so I didn't love that bug out, or that bailout. And they also added on this one a on the other one had a liner tube, but they had like a glass breaker here, which to me it looks pretty worthless. I mean, I don't think that's gonna break any glass, really. It's kind of a novelty thing, in my opinion. I haven't tested it. Don't have any extra spare auto glass to crack with, but if anyone does, let me know. But overall, like, pleasantly surprised by this knife, guys. I didn't like the first one, but the aluminum scales made a big difference. I actually really like this one in a lot of ways. This is actually one of the nicest Benchmades I've had out of the box. It's super smooth. It's perfectly centered. It just drops shut. And it's no blade play whatsoever. Very solid. The handle feels good in the hand. I really like the knurled aluminum. It feels great. It's very thin, as the bailouts are. And you know, the clip's awesome. I like these clips. I actually switched it out for a while because it had a little too much tension on this, but I've actually since corrected that. You can see there's a little gap in there now. So I don't love the pommel. I don't love this. If I were to keep this knife, which I'm on the fence, I would take this off and fill it with one of the Rock Scale Design backspacers, because it does fit these bailouts the same as the other bailouts. Zach's stuff over there on his channel, he tested that out. So I would get rid of that if I kept this knife. The M4 steel, here's the thing about Benchmade M4, they know what they're doing. They definitely can heat treat M4. That's why it was so weird to a lot of people, because they do S30V very well, and they do M4. 3V was kind of a new steel to them with their Puko knife, their fixed blade. That was also pretty soft. And then there's the controversy of, you know, we ran it soft on purpose, and all of a sudden they come back and say, oh, look, we fixed it. You know, they didn't really do much to tell you they fixed it. They just kind of went behind the scenes and did it. So a lot of people are kind of turned off by that, and by Benchmade generally, at least. So anyway, that's a topic for a whole other video. But this M4 has actually been holding up really well for me. It's been tough. I've used that tip to pry, to use it. I used it as an ice pick one day. It was super snowy this last week and a half here, and I had ice on my windshield, and I just down, not really my windshield, but down kind of where my windshield wipers were, and I couldn't get it with the scraper, so I had to use my knife, and I was just picking away at it, and came loose, and there's no damage to the edge at all. It's still sharp. This one came really, really sharp as well. I've just used it for typical EDC stuff. I haven't touched the edge at all, and it's held up really well. Haven't done any testing on it as far as cut testing and toughness testing. I don't know that I will, because you do all that kind of stuff, and there goes the resale value of this knife. And if I'm not sure I'm keeping it, you know what I mean? That's just is what it is. So wanted to try it out. I got it for a pretty good price and wanted to give it a go. And I do like it a lot better than the other bailout. I think it's an upgrade for sure. Here's the kicker, though. Well, let's look at I think these are about $212 retail. Pretty high. You can get the Super Freak, which is a much bigger knife, much more robust, harder use knife, in M4 steel for $190 list price. Not a lot less, but it is less, and it has G10 scales. It's bigger, has more blade, you know, more cutting edge. I mean, this should be less. I think they overpriced this guy. And that's typical of Benchmade to do that. They tend to do that all the time. So they overpriced this knife quite a bit, in my opinion. I think it should be certainly less than the Super Freak. Will that price go down? Maybe. They do have MAP pricing, so I don't know if it will or not. But it's a little high, especially because aluminum is not an expensive material. It's not like we're talking titanium here. M4 is a good steel, but they're using M4 on the Super Freak, and it's less expensive. So if you guys are wanting a Benchmade M4 knife, you know, or an Axis lock, you know, kind of a harder use knife, you're gonna go with the Super Freak. I don't know why you would even pick the Bailout. Maybe because it's light. I mean, it weighs like what, 2.7, 2.8 ounces. This is zero my scale and get it in here. 2.7, yeah, so it is quite a bit lighter. So if you're looking for something very light, you know, maybe you do that. Or, you know, if you already have a Bailout and you don't love the, you know, the Gravity scales, these scales are definitely an upgrade. They look really nice. But again, I think they missed the mark on the price. I think it's overpriced. It just shouldn't be $212 retail. That just, it should be under probably like 175, 180, right? Or at least the same price as the Super Freak. I mean, it's actually more expensive. And don't like the coating. I wish they would have just gone black, like the coating here on the new carbon fiber elite bug out, which we'll do a video on as well. I think that would look a lot better. It would have matched the colorway a lot better. You know, had that black blade. So it's just a few misses. They're not big deals at all. As far as a knife, as a tool and a performer, this is definitely a good option. Like I said, I carried it for probably 10 days straight and used it quite a bit, and it looks like it hasn't even been touched. It's just a really, really nice example of a Benchmade. Not all of them are going to be centered and have perfect action like that and not have any play. So I got pretty lucky there. But overall, I feel like it's lower priced. I feel like, you know, I wish they would have just stuck with 3V and just heat treated it better. Nothing wrong with M4, but 3V is tougher for sure. So, you know, kind of wish they would have stuck with that route. But M4 is a good steel, don't get me wrong. But as far as toughness goes, I think 3V is pretty hard to beat. And I would have liked to have seen them just stuck with that and had a better heat treat on it. So, which is just kind of interesting, right? Because they did go back and do a new heat treat on the 3V they're using, and now they've got it. They said above 60 HRC. So it's kind of perplexing. Like, why M4? I don't know. Weird. Must have had a lot of M4 laying around, which makes sense because they use it in a few of their knives. So, anyways, I'm kind of rambling, but here it is side by side with the new bug out, carbon fiber elite. Surprised also that the bug out carbon fiber elite has these new scales, which I'm going to talk about in the video about it, but they're actually quite rigid. They don't have any of the they have a little flex, but not nearly what the old bug out has. But the Bailout uses the same material as the old bug out. So why didn't they just release the Bailout with this material, this carbon fiber elite material, and the same 3V blade, and not even do the aluminum, and you would have had a pretty strong, even more lightweight knife? I don't know. Like I said, I like the looks of this one. I think it's kind of more special, but it's not like a limited edition. It's not like it's a sprint run or anything like that. So I don't know. It's weird stuff going on, but overall, I do like it. Not sure if I'm gonna keep it. I don't know that it's gonna find a permanent spot in my rotation. I don't have an M4 because I still have my Para 3 in M4. So maybe because of that feature or that reason. And if I do keep it and it sticks around, I will do some edge testing on it. Because then I'll have to sharpen it multiple times and all that. And, you know, once you do that, like I said, there goes the resale. So, all right, guys. That's going to wrap up my thoughts on the Benchmade Bailout. I do like this new version. One thing that's interesting, like you can see like my skin is kind of decolorating and it's not permanent. The scales is kind of weird, that knurling, but the knurling feels good. It actually feels super good in the handle. This grip kind of actually works if you just kind of avoid that that thing they call a glass breaker. I don't think you're breaking any glass with that. You could use this as a defensive knife. It does have a striking pommel. If you want to use this as a striker, you could. It's pretty solid, and you know you have that tanto tip, so there's that. But as you know, general use EDC, you know, it's a solid knife. I just wish it cost a little less, and I wouldn't have bought it if I wouldn't have got it for the price I did. So I think, you know, their misses on this one are the price and the coating. I wish they would have gone just black, would have looked a lot better. The glass breaker's joke. I wish they would have just got rid of this pommel altogether. You know, but there is some options out there. Now, if you have a Bailout and you don't like maybe you got one with the new 3V steel, or maybe you have the old one, but like, you know, the scales or whatever, you could just buy, there's a bunch of manufacturers of G10, titanium, I think even aluminum scales for the Bailout out there, and I think you'd be fine just sticking with what you had and just getting a scale upgrade instead of going out and spending, you know, another $200. So, all right, guys, that's going to wrap up this video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.